So I'm Narendra Ghate. I am with Tata Elxsi for the last now 15 years. I am one of the, let's say, founding members of their design studio. And I am essentially a mechanical engineer. I have then done my industrial design from IIT Bombay. I've also done a management degree from IIM Bangalore. So, but at heart, I'm still a designer, and that's what I want to talk to you about, and that's what I want to share. We're each given about 10-15 minutes, so I will not take too long, and maybe I'll just show one case study of how an innovation is actually used, and an innovation project actually helps a particular industry and a particular company in the case that I'm going to show. Before that, what I'll do, and since it is about case studies, let me just show you a small, it's a 2-minute film of various products that we have brought to life, or we have worked with the industry. And it's just a collage of images of various work that we have done. And it will set a context of how we as practicing designers, out there in the world, actually create products for the customers and the clients of ours. So it's just a 2-minute film on some products that we have brought to life. What I wanted to just show you in that film is that we tend to have a very good insight on what the market wants and what the industry wants, because we sort of lie in between, where products that need to come to the market are delivered through designers like us. And whenever products, and it could be services, if you can turn off the lights, please. Yeah, thanks. So a lot of the products and even services that actually have to come to the market, they really go through a process. And we were talking about innovation and a lot of discussions about what is innovation. And what I'll do is I'll show you a typical point of view that I have, or that we have, about innovation, and maybe I'll show you one example. So let's take this line that you see on the screen, and from your left to right, maybe that's the process that a product has to go through to really come to the market. And it has multiple gates, and anybody who has done any product development would realize that you really have to take decisions right across as you go along. So whether you're trying to decide on what cost it should be, or whether you're trying to decide what color it should be, or whether at the beginning you're trying to decide between 3 concepts. So at every stage, you have to keep taking a decision. And the starting point is always, let's say, the expectation brief, or let's say a product brief or a project brief, where we are trying to set limits as to what is it that we are trying to achieve. So it could be that you could start off by saying that, okay, I'm trying to make a juicer, let's say, a product, and maybe it has to be, standing on the kitchen counter, and it should have maybe this kind of specifications, and maybe it's meant for housewives of SEC let's say, right? So automatically, what you're trying to do is trying to create an expectation of what is it that you want in the end. And if you look at it at the starting point, you really don't know what you're going to get. And me as an engineer, or if a businessman or any leader of that organization, would love for this, let's say, expectation brief to be as precise as possible. Right? If you exactly know what you're going to get in the end, and if you can predict in the beginning, then it really makes it easier for you to take a lot of business decisions. Whether do you need an extra factory or not? How much of investment do you need? How much of marketing would you need? And that sort of creates this particular process as we go along, taking the decisions that I was talking about, right? So based on what expectations you set for the product, that's the kind of product that you'll get in the end. But one thing we have to remember, that the product that you get will always be a subset of that expectation brief that you set. So the answer or the solution that comes maybe after 3 months, maybe after 3 years, will still lie between those 2 dotted lines. And hence, it becomes very important what expectation brief you have set up. For example, if the expectation brief was slightly different, if, let's say, in case of a juicer, the fact that it should be on a kitchen counter was not an important aspect, then the designers would have taken a slightly different route, and you might get a handheld blender, let's say. Now, the point here is that irrespective of how good the designer is or how many designers you have, the people working on the purple route would have never come up with the solution for the handheld blender, because the expectations have already been set, right? And this is where, let's say, the innovation quotient, let's say, comes in, where you start nudging these kind of routes that have been preset for you, and you start going outside these boundaries and still try and explore so that the route that is expected can change. There's also one very big thing that I have not mentioned, but it is very important here, and I will show it to you. So this particular, let's say, decision-making process where you have to judge whether you want to go along a specific path or allow explorations to go slightly further is the kind of certainty versus opportunity trade-off. Because more certain that you are, the more opportunities that you're going to give up. And I'm not saying what is good or what is bad, but it is the truth of the matter. Because the more certain it is, the faster and more predictable it is. The more uncertain it is, the more new possibilities that exist. The people in the purple route would have never known that a handheld blender would have existed, right? There's also this complete front end, the hazy, fuzzy front end. Because again, the expectation brief that comes in with some inputs. So there would be marketing people, there would be MBAs and cost accountants and futurologists trying to predict what technology is out there, what is it that people want, what geography should we get in. And typically designers are excluded from, let's say, this green hazy fuzzy front end, and designers, typical product design front end development guys, are given a brief and asked to proceed from there on. And then it's quite easy to proceed because that's our profession, that's what we can do. But if designers are allowed and they're quite potent at actually thinking in the fuzzy end, thinking of trying to find out and predict this is the technology that is coming in and hence a product like this could actually exist, then your expectation brief can start much earlier and can be much bigger. And as you could see, then the solutions could be completely different and could actually be game changing. So when you talk about a breakthrough innovation, this is how breakthrough innovation is possible. About a work like this, 5 minutes.
Yeah, just one question as for the allotted time we can have.
Anybody? Any questions? Or else we can meet afterwards and we can chat.
Yeah, definitely we can meet afterwards, yes.
Yeah, hi.
Development life cycle is a typical product development or a project management. Innovation per se, because if you go for the normal consumer who is not so intelligent, no expert, then the Tata Elxsi itself has to go for the market survey and find out something, come out something new.
Correct.
That will be more challenging and difficult.
Yes.
This is well defined because he gives you a requirement, you mutually agree, you go through the cycle, keep on developing by iteration, come out with something acceptable.
Exactly, and that's that purple route that I showed, because it becomes part of the profession, saying that a customer would come saying that I want you to design a bottle. Fine, we'll design a bottle. I mean, that's what we're paid for. But, and the reason why, let's say I'm heading this thing called as Innovation Labs, is we've realized that we have to step outside what a client currently requires and actually start giving him suggestions as to what is possible and actually represent his customers to him, saying that currently your customers and your competition in the market, this is what they want and this is where the technology is going. So would you like to consider this particular product? And it's a choice that he has to take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to close it here.